Good morning, students. Welcome to the second class of literary terms. In yesterday's class, we have discussed the literary term novel. While explaining you what the novel is about, I told you that the novel can be distinguished from the short story in a number of ways. In novels, we have an ampler development of milieu, more sustained and subtle exploration of characters, and we have the plots which may be tragic, comic, or maybe a medley of both. We started with the picaresque novels, then we discussed with the epistolary novels, and then we discussed the different genres, that is the sociological novel, historical novel, regional novel, and lastly we discussed the concept of anti-novel. In today's class, we are going to take the literary term essay. Let me tell you what essay is about. Any brief composition in prose that undertakes to discuss a matter, express a point of view, or persuade us to accept a thesis on any subject whatever. The essay differs from a treatise or dissertation in its lack of pretension to be systematic and complete exposition, and in being addressed to a general rather than a specialized audience. As a consequence, the essay discusses its subject in non-technical fashion and often with a liberal use of such devices as anecdote, striking illustration, and humor to augment its appeal. A useful distinction is that between the formal and informal essay. The formal essay is relatively impersonal. The author writes as an authority, or at least as highly knowledgeable, on the subject and expounds it in an ordered and thorough fashion. Examples will be found among the serious articles on current topics and issues in any of the magazines addressed to a thoughtful audience. Harper's Commentary, Scientific American, and so on. In the second category, that is the informal essay, or which we call the familiar or personal essay, the author assumes a tone of intimacy with his audience, tends to be concerned with everyday things rather than with public affairs or specialized topics, and writes in a relaxed, self-revelatory and often whimsical fashion. Accessible modern examples shall be found in the New Yorker. The Greeks, Theophrastus and Plutarch, and the Romans, Cicero and Seneca, wrote essays long before the genre was given its standards name by Montaigne's great French essays in 1580. The title signifies attempts and was meant to indicate the tentative and unsystematic nature of Montaigne's discussions, in contrast to formal and technical treatises on the same subjects. Francis Bacon, late in the 16th century, inaugurated the English use of the term in his own series of essays, most of which are short comments on subjects such as of truth, of adversity, of marriage and the single life. Later, Alexander Pope adopted the term for his expository compositions in verse, the essay on criticism and the essay on man, but the verse essay has had few exponents after the 18th century. We also know that Edison and Steele's Statler and Spectator, with their many successors, gave to the prose essay its standard modern vehicle. The Literary Periodical. Earlier essays had been published in books. In the early 19th century, the founding of new types of magazines and their steady proliferation gave great impetus to the writings of essay and made them a major department of literature. This was the age when Hazlitt, De Quincey, and Charles Lamb brought the essay, and especially the personal essay, to a level that has remained unsurpassed. In our own time, the many periodicals pour out scores of essays every week. Most of them are formal in type: George Orwell, E.M. Forster, James Thurber, and E.B. White, however, are excellent modern practitioners of the informal essay. So students, in this short class, we have taken up what an essay is about, distinguishing between the formal essays and the informal essays, how the essays began, and how we came to know that that Francis Bacon is known as the father of the English essayist. So this much for the class today. In tomorrow's class, we are going to take up two more literary terms. Thank you.